to the Metal Church. Reverend Ian Christie is about to begin. Please turn to page 666.
From the pages of Sound of the Beast, your weekly heavy metal history lesson with Ian Christie.
Greetings and hello, metal peoples. This is Ian Christie. You're listening to Roots of Native American Metal. Today, traveling from Canada to Mexico, from the Pacific Northwest to California to the Plains to the Eastern States to bring you a gathering of modern-day metal songs, both angry and beautiful. With tracks today by Dark Cloud, Dying Tribe, I Don't Conform, Damage Overdose, the Pan American Native Front, LA's long-running resistant culture, some searing aggression from Blue Hummingbird on the left, and this, Bay Area thrash metal giant's testament, singer Chuck Billy, his father coming from the Hopland Reservation in Northern California. Song here to kick off a Native American metal special. It's Native Blood. I'm Ian Christie. You're listening to SiriusXM.
This is called Native Blood.
Native Blood from the live promo for the Dark Roots of Earth record. That's the Almighty Testament long-running Northern California metal giants, of course, fronted since right before the very first album by Chuck Billy, a descendant of the Hopland Reservation in Northern California and an outspoken representative of Native Americans in metal music. Greetings! Welcome to Roots! This is your weekly metal history lesson, each and every week going down through the roots into the earth, checking out the history of heavy metal music, country by country, style by style, key people by key people, and key record by key record. Today, following those roots as they merge and meld with the roots of American history itself, going back hundreds and in fact thousands of years to the first people, the Shawnee, the Hopi, the Iroquois, the Navajo, the Sioux, the people who 1,000 years ago left us monuments nearly as old as Rome in places like Mesa Verde, Colorado, or Chaco Canyon, New Mexico. These stories, I think, have struggled to find currency in the modern day world. And lo and behold, here comes metal as a vehicle for people getting things off their chests, retelling the stories that were passed down to them by their elders, or the sagas picked up from the history books, or just simply expressing themselves, getting it off their chest. That's what metal is here for. We have a ton of tracks today, ranging from a whole variety of tribes, a variety of styles of metal. It's been a solemn pleasure collecting tracks by so many different Native American metal bands, and let's get on with the show. A good variety coming up in just the next few minutes. Something crude and dark by the North Carolina band Dark Cloud. Then something much more polished out of Flagstaff, Arizona from the band Dying Tribe. The Aztec side of things from the pre-Columbian Mexican lands, going south of the border from a band called Blue Hummingbird on the left. And here we have long-running Los Angeles band Resistant Culture, formed in the late 1980s as Resistant Militia, with releases on the very legendary, very underground label Wild Rags. These guys resurfaced at the start of the 2000s, I believe going under the name Resistant for a while, then recruiting for a while Jesse Pintado of Napalm Death to play guitar. Two members even went on to do a 2000s era version of the legendary grindcore band Terrorizer. That was Anthony Reshawk and Katina Culture. Now the current incarnation of this band, blazing, super crusty grindcore, way more aggressive than what we're about to hear, but as far as fusions of Native American music and metal go, this is a valiant attempt at that crossover. So plucking instead some of this development era Resistant Culture material off of the Ancient Future record. Like I said, if you dig this, the modern day stuff is 10 times more intense, crusty, and punishing. I'm Ian Christie. You're listening to Roots of Native American Metal. This is Resistant Culture on SiriusXM.
From the pages of your heavy metal history lesson. Bloody Roots. Liquid metal!
Yes, Dying Tribe about 5 minutes ago on Tribal Relic Records. And that was Bury the Sun you just heard, 500 years. A sorrowful saga, really, of the 500 years since Christopher Columbus first took his boat from Genoa over to Puerto Rico. Thinking he had discovered India, actually created the trade route that led to the European overtaking of North America. Welcome back to your weekly metal history lesson. This is Roots of Native American Metal. Plenty of rich subject matter, a long history of metal themes in Native American folklore, whether it's communion with nature, tales of battle and conquest, or simply that universal soul-searching done by one person alone under a starry night. And by the way, heavy metal never blind, really, to the role of Native Americans in world history. So many classic heavy metal songs dealing with the themes, such as Judas Priest's Savage, questioning the role of modern man in so-called civilization, Iron Maiden's Run to the Hills, and of course Anthrax with Indians, a song inspired and urged and put forward by part Native American lead singer Joey Belladonna. What we're seeing now, though, is that even the most geographically isolated bands living way out in the middle of the Navajo Reservation, 8 hours west of Albuquerque, in today's world are only one upload away from reaching a worldwide audience. Well, I hope we can help get the ball rolling on that today on Roots. You should definitely check the playlist at roots.bazillionpoints.com as a starting point for going forward, checking out Native American bands. Let's see what's coming up. More Navajo metal, this time Testify from New Mexico in about 5 minutes. Damage Overdose out of Oregon, and a very raw black metal band called Gibaw, representing those tribal regions between southern Alaska, British Columbia, and Washington State. They draw heavily from the Tsimshian language, and in that way, I guess, mirror what's been going on around the metal world for 25, 30 years now, with Norwegian bands getting back into Old Norse and old hymns and old pagan customs, African bands bringing their ways to the world, all kinds of interest in ancient ways and folkloric customs coming from every corner of the world and manifesting itself with aggressive, good heavy metal music. These things just seem to go together naturally and are all part of heavy metal's ongoing search for truth. Or maybe it's as the band Dark Cloud, who we heard earlier this hour, says, forced oppression leads to aggression. This band, I Don't Conform, comes off the Navajo Reservation out of Window Rock, Arizona. When I was a little kid in elementary school, my 4th grade class took a field trip to Window Rock, Arizona to tour the local radio station. Window Rock itself is an amazing formation, a sacred site for Navajo, a perfect circle, immense, cut right into the red stone cliffs above the town. Used to go there a lot as a kid for various reasons, and very happy to be bringing you now Window Rock, Arizona's own I Don't Conform. This is from the Sagebrush Rejects record, recorded around 2016 in Denmark with Flemming Rasmussen, known to you as the producer of classic Metallica records Ride the Lightning, Master of Puppets, and Injustice for All. Song's called Hungry for War, tons more Native American metal to come. You're listening to Roots, your weekly metal history lesson on SiriusXM.
Sky, smiling. Outside fighting, fighting lightning, runner of a king. Cannot cage me, cannot take me, never break me. Win my
Do you want to die?
I'm not afraid. I'll go to heaven.
There is no heaven, no God, no angels. The only thing in your future is nothingness, nothingness, nothingness.
from the pages of Sound of the Beast. Your weekly heavy metal history lesson with Ian Christie. Liquid Metal!
All right, out of the Great Plains of the United States, it's Pan American Native Front, bringing you some very caustic and aggressive black metal from the Tecumseh's War album here on SiriusXM's weekly metal history lesson, Roots. Yes, we've been celebrating the roots of Native American metal. Don't be shy. Step right up. These are the amazing, almost eternal myths and stories going back millennia here on the North American continent. Very cool to hear these stories, myths, and beliefs now pointed on the end of a sharpened heavy metal attack. And a lot of variety, from the soulfly grooviness of some of the southwestern bands to just the straight-ahead black metal attack of the bands from colder climates, I guess. But Soulfly and Sepultura making a lot of a big impression as an influence, especially with Max Cavalera living very near the Navajo Reservation in Arizona, and Soulfly always taking care to play reservation venues, put local bands on bills with Soulfly, and in fact himself joining bands like Ethnic Degeneration on stage. Hey, I urge you to follow this wherever it takes you. Pick up a few books, read more about Native American history and culture. There is an immense amount of it. It's all very different, and it's influenced our modern world in so many ways. The playlist for getting into these bands more deeply is at roots.bazillionpoints.com. And specifically about getting more into metal music, check out the library at bazillionpoints.com, featuring books like Murder in the Front Row, Swedish Death Metal, Sound of the Beast, Choosing Death, Only Death is Real, heavy metal movies, and many, many others. At Bazillion Points on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, or just go to bazillionpoints.com the old-fashioned way. All right, I'm Ian Christie. It's been a very big pleasure to be with you today. I'm going to close this with some very beautiful, soulful, epic, folk-inspired metal by West Virginia's Nechotwen. We've kind of gone in a big giant circle around the United States representing different tribes, ending up on the East Coast with the Shawnee-derived tales of Nechotwen. This is a two-man band based out of West Virginia with a very impressive catalog coming out in just the last few years. Good representative introduction to the band here called Hey Ya Hona. Thanks very, very much for joining me. Now, more than ever, know your roots!
heard Ian Christie's Bloody Roots, Liquid Metal's hour-long crash course in headbanger history. Hear it tomorrow.